When I was a kid, I looked at comic books just because I always wanted to be a hero. And as I am right now, I still read them, and I always try to find, what makes them super and what can I do to be like them.
One of the really interesting things about a serialized form of entertainment like comics that comes out every month, like a comic like Action Comics, has come out uninterrupted for the last, 75 years, since 1938. You're getting these characters' stories, and you're able to jump in and out of their lives, out of their history.
It doesn't make it any less sophisticated to add images, I don't feel. It's nice to have a visual aid if it's something really foreign, like a different world that's never been seen before in like actual reality.
So Kick-Ass he wants to be the good guy for an entire city, but he finds out that that's no easy task, especially if you're just a average high school kid. You're not really kicking any ass at that point. You're getting yours kicked. I think that's also what makes Kick-Ass interesting, is the number of times that he gets put down and beat over and over again doesn't stop him from doing what he wants to do, and that's being a superhero.
We've grown up reading them. They're our childhood heroes. They're what we grew up with as our ideal of the type of person that we want to be as an adult.
We've always used fantasy or fables to sort of, extreme circumstances to kind of explain how we should act on a day-to-day basis. I think comics have the power to do that as well.
Spider-Man was always the underdog. He was always the one that was getting picked on. He was always the one that you never saw as Peter Parker as being anything heroic. And I think with Uncle Ben's quote, the reason it stuck with me is because it was an actual quote. Uncle Ben makes a point to tell him with great power comes great responsibility.
I don't think inspiration of any kind is subject to questions of validity. It's such an interpersonal thing that inspiration it impacts only you.
And I read a hero that I really like that has maybe just one little characteristic that's similar to me or that I can relate to. It makes me think that I can, be a little more like them and maybe do a little more good in the world. But then you get to see their flaws too, so you can relate to them and you see their human side, that just because they're these super overpowered, they have all these abilities and everything, they're not infallible. And that, even if you did have all these incredible powers, you'd still have maybe your own weaknesses and your own struggles in your own life. And that really human aspect of it gives you something to achieve for, but making you feel like you're okay with who you are at the same time.
In the Iron Man comic books, it's called Demon in a Bottle. And it's basically how Iron Man comes into alcoholism. They actually asked him to step down from being the head of the Avengers. And it kind of reminded me of the way I had to deal with my dad. I'd, basically say, Dad, I have to be responsible for you. I knew that my dad, or Iron Man, was still in there, and that I just needed to help him get through his alcoholism and help him become a better person, become Iron Man again. I didn't give up on the villain or my dad, because that's what heroes do. They see someone who is struggling and do whatever they can to help them out.
I would say that as much as you are your own superhero inside, that you also are your own worst enemy. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune disorder where your body essentially attacks your pancreas and doesn't produce insulin, so you have to provide it yourself through a series of shots and different things. And it's made all my other problems seem so small and so minuscule, I guess, that at this point it seems like I had finally found something to put a face to as the bad guy in the story almost. And for the longest time, I kind of let diabetes control my life, and do its thing. But once I stood up and decided that I was going to take control of it, that's when I started feeling almost bigger than life. And you just get this kind of almost, not necessarily adrenaline rush, but you get a really good feeling when you're doing something right.
Your own personal choices will be based on your own personal beginnings. So just like you do not know how deeply evil you can be unless you do it, but you can be the best you could ever be, and hopefully somebody knows it somewhere and saw it. I've wanted to be a father for a very long time, and when I became one, that was my great responsibility. My great power is living and breathing next to me. She's 8 years old. And with that power came my responsibility to be the best damn father I can be in every way. But you make your own choices in life. And as a guide, as a father, as a, hopefully her hero, she knows the moral compass I will lay down and guide her towards a normal, everyday, happy life of enjoyment. And part of that, imagination that's burgeoning in her, I see her like me being 40 and out there collecting her comics too, introducing her children. Because yeah, it's not something you put down when you're 10. It's something you keep on trucking with.
If a kid was looking at that comic book rack and he was looking at all those different comics, I think I would tell that kid there's people that are always good. When you grow up in a bad place, you think that that's the whole world. The whole world is just evil or going to be tough. I think comic books are a great escape for that, and gives them a feeling that there must be someone out there, because somebody had to create this story. So there must be someone out there who thinks like this, who must do this. And I would tell that kid 1,000,000 times. I don't think if there was 1,000,000 universes and I was 1,000,000 different people, I would say yes 1,000,000 times. I would still tell him to get the comic book, because it's a better investment for becoming a better person, and let alone just having something you can have fun with.